Hi, my name is Taylor Mastripolito, and my client is an 18-year-old college freshman whose school was a victim to a school shooting last year. She came to see me because she's kind of struggling with the fear of, going to that school, and she also wants to know more about school shootings and how it may affect a person and other people around her. So today I'm going to be discussing with her, the ways it can affect her. I'm really going to focus on how it can affect somebody physically, emotionally, psychologically, and socially. The United States makes up about 82% of mass shootings every year. And in the summer of 2019, there were 222 mass shootings in the United States, including one at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. School shootings and other gun violence affect people, like I said. And today it's my job to educate my client on school shootings as well as to help guide her on how to handle a school shooting if she was ever, in one, and how she would deal with her emotions and feelings. So, first, I really want to talk about how it emotionally can affect a person. Most people who have witnessed or been in the area of a mass shooting can most likely develop anxiety or fear. Um, what starts to happen is it starts to erode their trust of others. They don't like to go out into big crowds. They don't like to be around strangers because their anxiety and fear are so high because of the traumatic event that happened to them. This is when the anxiety and fear can really become debilitating for them, and it completely can take control over their life. Another thing that people can develop is something called survivor's guilt. When a person is not harmed in a school shooting, they can have thoughts of, why did I survive and others didn't? Or why was I able to get out and others didn't? It also happens for people who maybe did not go to school that day, whose maybe car broke down and they couldn't get there, or, they slept in and weren't able to make it to class that day. They can have thoughts of, it could have been me, but it wasn't. So, that's another thing that can cause that anxiety and fear. And it can really stop that person from living their life and um, stop them from wanting to leave their house and interact with other people. Next, I want to really talk to you about how it can affect a person psychologically. When a person has been involved in a mass shooting, they are likely to develop some sort of mental health disorder, such as anxiety, depression, post traumatic stress disorder, or acute stress disorder. The two main disorders that that they find that people develop are post traumatic stress disorder and acute stress disorder. There's a 77% chance that a person affected by this type of violence will develop post traumatic stress disorder, and the other one third of people will develop acute stress disorder. So, first, I'm going to talk a little bit about post traumatic stress disorder just to kind of get you to understand each individually. So, with post traumatic stress disorder, you have recurring thoughts of the traumatic event. You have a constant feeling of being on edge and nightmares. So, if you're having any of these symptoms, you could be developing post traumatic stress disorder. So, if that is the case, I definitely recommend that you talk to somebody about how you're feeling. The next thing is acute stress disorder. And with acute stress disorder, the symptoms usually happen within 1 month of the traumatic event. Now, they can happen later. If you are in a school shooting and 1 month goes by, you may not feel like you need to talk to anybody because you're fine. But in 2 to 3 months, you can start feeling the effects of developing acute stress disorder. Some of the symptoms of this are flashbacks, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, negative thoughts, never being able to have anything positive to think about or to say, severe anxiety or sleep disturbances. So if you're having any type of these symptoms, whether it is the PTSD symptoms or the acute stress disorder symptoms, I do highly recommend that you do talk to somebody because there is a good chance that you are developing one of these, and it is important that you really talk through your emotions and how you're feeling at the time. Um, Next, I want to talk about how it can socially affect somebody. So studies have shown that students that have been affected by a school shooting who are A's and B students drop down to D's and F's. This is due to, their mental health or their inability to go to school, or focus while they're in school because of the trauma that they've experienced. They can also, because of this, they can also struggle to make relationships for this fear and their distrust of people. They can oftentimes keep to themselves, they not leave the house, um, because they fear others and strangers. Um, Studies have shown that people who have been victim to school shooting tend to isolate themselves from the real world. They stop socializing altogether. And again, that's really bad for your mental health. Um, to keep inside, to not go out, to not socialize with anybody is really bad. So if you find yourself doing that, again, I highly recommend that, you go talk to somebody. Um, so finally, the last one I want to talk about is physically. Um, a person who has experienced this type of trauma can become suicidal. They can begin to self-harm because it can help them feel release of their stress and anxiety, and it can make them feel okay. But this is not something that we want to do or want a person to do. So if you are having any suicidal thoughts after this traumatic event and you are feeling like you need to self-harm, um, you know, get help immediately, talk to somebody immediately, because that is not something that we want a person to do or have to go through. Um, People can also develop attachment disorders. They cannot want to leave people close to them. They cannot want people to leave them that are close to them because, for the fear of losing them. When you're in a school shooting, sometimes there are lives lost and it can really affect people, and so they tend to not want to leave the people close to them for the fear that they won't come back or that they're going to lose them in a traumatic event such as a school shooting. And finally, the big way that we find that people start to develop is um, turning to drugs and alcohol as an outlet and then becoming addicted to them. People turn to drugs and alcohol as a way to escape the traumatic event, to try to forget about it, to cope with the anxiety and the fear that they have because of this event. So we recommend that, again, you talk to somebody because we don't want you or somebody turning to drugs and alcohol as a way to try to make yourself feel better or to self-medicate. So definitely, again, get help. So these are the main ways that a person can be affected by a mass shooting. So today I really wanted to talk to you about the effects that school shootings can really have on a person and kind of really educate you on the topic. Someone who has been in a school shooting or knows somebody who has been should obviously seek counseling right away. Even if you don't feel that you've been affected that much, I definitely recommend going to talk to somebody right away because the effects can, you can feel the effects later on. So I definitely think that therapy would be a great idea. One way that we find that really can help is through cognitive behavioral therapy. We found that this therapy is the best when someone has gone through such a traumatic event like a mass shooting, because it can help deal with their mood, their depression, and their anxiety. And we can teach them how to learn how to cope with their feelings and their emotions and, really get back on track into thinking positively and, positive about other people and really wanting to go out and socialize. And it will also help them take their lives back and, help them want to live their lives better and things like that. So I definitely recommend talking to somebody, seeing if you are developing any type of these disorders, if you have been in a mass shooting, and then we can talk about, cognitive behavioral therapy and other ways to help you learn or others learn how to cope with this. So I thank you so much for being here. Do you have any questions?
Oh, not right now.
Okay, so thank you. And if you ever need to talk to somebody, I'm always here to talk and listen. So thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Carola Rios. I will be portraying the counselor in this scenario, and Taylor has been brought to me. She is a 9-year-old who was in a school where one of her classmates passed away as a result of a mass shooting. She is, it occurred a week ago, and so she has been experiencing some symptoms or some feelings which she doesn't truly understand yet. Part of our conversation is going to be talking about what those feelings are, as she has not truly felt them before, but without me telling her what those feelings are or putting a name to them, because I don't want to tell her how she's feeling. I want her to tell me how she's feeling, and for us to work together to process those feelings and to put a plan into action to make her feel safer and to feel as though her life can continue after such a tragedy. So Taylor and I will talk about life after such a tragedy as part of our conversation. But because of her age, I can't necessarily tell her how to feel, and so we're going to be doing some things to get her to talk to me, and then we can talk about the things that are going on in her life. So this is going to be more or less what our conversation would be like. So, hi, Taylor. I understand that you were a part of something that was very difficult for you in your school, and that someone that you were very close to, passed away. So, I'm going to be talking to you, and we're going to be meeting, and we're going to just be talking about how everything is going and how you feel about this. I want you to know that you're safe. I want you to know that you're safe here as well as home and at school, and that we have safety protocols in place here in school and at your house, and you have people that will take care of you and will make sure that you are okay. So when something bad happens, like a tragedy, it's okay to feel however you're feeling. And so you and I will talk about your feelings together, and we can put them into words, and we can put them into we can express them together, and talk about how your friends are feeling and how that makes you feel, and how your parents are feeling and how that makes you feel, because that's important to know, how those things affect you as well. um, so if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to talk about, that's not necessarily about your feelings, we can also talk about those things as well. So anything that you want to, talk about, if it's, about the shooting or about, why people do such bad things, we can talk about it, and we can definitely try to understand why some of these things happen. But I can't tell you why this specific event happened, because I can't tell you what was in this person's mind. Okay, Taylor? um so while we're doing this, we're going to be doing some activities together. We're going to be doing some projects just to get our hands busy while we talk. We're going to be drawing and just, keeping busy. I have some activities right here that we can continue doing, so you and I can work together and just talk through this time. And so you're going to be coming to see me once a week. And while you're doing this, we're going to just be interacting together, and we're going to be talking about how your life is going to be going from this event on. It just happened, and the sooner we talk about it and the sooner we talk about your feelings, um, the more helpful it's going to be to have it go through your mind and to understand what this means, and what losing your friend means, and what that school shooting meant. um, So we're going to just be a part of your normal routine. You're still going to be at home, and soon they're going to be opening up your school again. So I want to understand how you feel about going back to school, being that that's where you lost your friend. And if you don't feel comfortable, we can talk about that as well. And we can talk to your parents about you not being comfortable enough to go there. And talking about when you feel comfortable enough to go there, or maybe changing your environment at some point. So we can together develop a plan, and I'm going to be part of your team. So I'm going to be part of the group of people that is going to be in your corner. And it's going to be just um, here to support you in any way that you need. So we can also work on developing a safety plan. So that safety plan can look like, um, a um, a way for you to know um, when you're feeling a certain type of way, how to deal with that. But we can also make a safety plan, as in when you're in a certain environment, what do you do? So we can do one for your physical thoughts and also one for your emotional thoughts. So together, you and I are going to work and we're going to build something that is going to make you feel safe. It's going to make you feel comfortable and it's going to make you understand what's going on. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any questions?
I don't, but thank you.
Okay. So I'll see you next week.